All right, day 2 of ripping the van apart and rebuilding the interior. So I don't know how audible it is in here, but it is blowing like hell outside. And I left the front windows down to get the paint smell out of the van, and then it poured rain overnight, so the entire front passenger compartment of the van is sopping wet. And then my partner alerted me to that, so I came out and I put the windows up, and then it turned into a bright, beautiful sunny day, so I came back out and I put the windows down and I opened every door on the van, hoping to air it out and dry it out, and then it rained again. So there's a, like, I'm sitting in the passenger seat, the driver's seat footwell has a puddle in it right now, and like not even a minor one. Like, it filled it until it poured out the door opening, basically. So I can't do anything with the front of the van right now because everything is wet. But fortunately, we're mostly working with the back of the van. So we're going to work just on the interior part right now. I think what I'm going to do is give it a good vacuuming in here, and then start in on either the sound deadening or welding and fabricating the structure in here for the way I'm going to build it out, basically. But I don't know which I'm going to do first. I think it's mostly going to depend on how much of a pain in the butt one looks like it's going to be over the other. All right, that's done. I'm wiped. Putting these on the roof, it's really hard because both of my rotator cuffs are messed up, so that's working over my head like that's really painful. And having to apply that much force over my head, not fun. But I got it done. So as you see in the video, I got all the major panels done. I've got them on the roof. I don't know how clear it was in the video, but I put it in the doors back here too. There's basically half a sheet on the outer panel and half a sheet on the inner panel, because that inner panel will act just as much of a drum as the outer one will. They all were pretty good. The bottom of the outer panel here could use a piece because it's too far away from the piece that's in there to do any good. But I'm pondering some modifications to that door to make it look older, which would be in that area, so I'm not going to commit to that because getting that off later will be a pain. But this should make a major difference. I went out at one point and thunked on the outside of the van, and you can definitely hear the difference. The roof was actually pretty dramatic. Like, I had gotten a few on there, and as you went towards the front, it changed tone very much. It was very tinny up there and very dead back here. So that's all good. I also moved this power distribution block here. I tried to move the computer, but the way they've got it mounted is really annoying and dumb and very complicated to change. So I decided I would leave that there after all. But this power distribution block, which was here, It's now over here because what I'm planning to mount is going to end up hitting right about there. It's just tech screwed in place because that should be more than enough. I tried to use some bigger, fancier screws, but just didn't work, so I just gave up and put tech screws in. But they'll hold it fine. I mean, it's not under a lot of strain. What this is this lead, when you turn it on, when you turn the key on, these two are hot. They've got power going to them. These two always have power going to them. This isn't a black and a red as far as positive and negative. These are both positive. It's just always on with the key. They're labeled. So what you would do is make a circuit by going between one of these and then a chassis ground. So that's why I specifically put the screws back in over here, because then I can use this as the chassis ground if I hook anything to this. I don't know that I need this, but actually no, I take that back. This didn't have anything hooked to it when I got the van because this is such a low spec van. I'm pretty sure this was intended for like fridges and TVs and things that were going to draw more power. So like there's nothing in my van like that. But this will be very useful for me even with that. I don't need to hook anything high power up, at least right now, but it just means I've got some place to tap off of right here. I don't have to run more wires to the dash or cut up any of the dash wiring or anything like that. These are already there. I'm gonna, if I hook anything to these, I'm going to put a fuse block in over here as well. I'll probably like screw it to the front of this. I'm looking at it, that's a little tighter than I like. I think I'm going to move this relay, but I'll put it, screw that to the block here because I'm sure these are probably fused, but I don't know where or how. So I'd rather have two fuses in the system and have it be unnecessary than discover the hard way by the van burning down that turns out, no, these aren't actually fused. But that's a future problem. So you may be wondering why I only did as much sound deadening as I did. In a perfect world, cover everything, you get maximum effect. But this is one of those things where the more you cover, the less effect you get. A diminishing returns kind of situation. Not less effect as in it doesn't work, but every amount that you put on, improves it. But it's one of these where it's like the improvement is really, really fast, and then it very quickly levels off once you get past a certain point, and then everything beyond that's kind of pointless. There's various things as far as at what point you kind of hit that, but the other thing is there's just so much surface area inside this van that I could go through like 3 or 4 of the boxes that I bought to try and do the inside of this van. So again, not a huge amount of benefit. So this will make a noticeable difference once I have the interior in and I see how loud it is. If I feel like I need more sound deadening, at that point I will either add more or I will add additional layers of sound deadening. I'll add something else in addition to this stuff. I'm not putting a bunch of insulation in here because this van's not designed to be a serious camper. We may end up camping in it, but it's going to be fairly fair weather camping. I'm not going to go through the effort to put a bunch of insulation in here for that limited effect. But I may like put rock wool in the panels, hidden inside around the wheel well and stuff like that, where the most sound is, to try and hide that. I've also got some dampening mat. Like these things that I'm using are a butyl with. These things that I'm using it's a butyl rubber on a aluminum backer, and that what happens is that butyl rubber is what absorbs the sound, is the sound deadening. These are the cheaper ones. I think these are the 0.4 mil thick butyl, but that's what does it absorbs the sound deadening by preventing the panel from being able to act like a drum. Sound waves hit a panel, they are transmitted through that panel by vibrating the panel, and then they continue on into the vehicle. So if you dampen that panel and keep it from being able to vibrate, they can't come in. In addition, the wind passing over the panels will cause them to drum as well. They'll just flex from that. So this also helps with that. So if you've ever been in a vehicle, we've got that like like you're not even hearing it. You're just sort of almost feeling it as pressure against you. That's the vehicle doing that. Usually, a lot of vehicles, it's the roof is the most free space to do that. But it'll also come up through the floor or whatever. But that's what this stuff does. If that's not enough, that stops the panel from transmitting the sound, but the sound can also just pass through. I've got these huge windows, so it's never going to be silent in here. But I also have this like thick matte stuff that basically acts as a sound deadener by being the next layer on top of this, and those sound waves get into it, and it's not rubber like the horse mat. It's a foam rubber, so it's got I can't remember if it's open cell or closed cell, whatever, it's irrelevant. But it's designed to have the sound waves pass into it and just sort of be dissipated by the rubber not letting the sound wave pass completely through it. So that stuff is going to get used strategically. The biggest place on this that I'm going to use it is basically between these two front seats on the floor, because that's right where the transmission and engine are. It's going to get used on the engine cover under this plastic thing to, again, and under the carpet that's on here probably, if I can manage to make it work, to again dampen the engine noise. It's going to go in the footwells and possibly on the firewall up here, because the two biggest sources of noise are the engine and the wheels. So the wheels, I've put sound deadener on the wheel well somewhat. I'm going to probably put more on, but I'm probably going to be welding to those, which is why I didn't add any more now. And then the engine, obviously, I just told you what I'm going to do. So like that'll hopefully do a lot to help with the sound in here. I did drive this once I've ripped all the interior out, and it was noticeably louder, and it was noticeably tinnier. I felt like I was driving around a big metal box. So the sound, the panels that were in here and the fiberglass insulation that was glued to the walls was doing something. Is this going to do more? I don't know. It's hard to know ahead of time exactly what's going to affect what. But yeah, so that's where I am with the sound deadener. That's why it's got as much as it does. If once I've done all the like the next big thing that needs to be done is I need to do the two front doors, and I need to do this front area here. I need to do the floors and the firewall. Once I've got that done, if I've got more left over, which I probably won't, you know how much I've got left, I'll come back in here and I'll add more. But I don't want to run out and have to buy a whole other box to do that area, because I got kind of crazy back here. So that's it for now. I'll talk to you later. Bye.